Well, hey everybody, welcome to Intermediate Music Theory video number 13. In this video, we're going to continue talking about just different chords. We left off with the dominant chord. Now we're going to talk about the diminished chord, and we're going to talk about the same kind of things. Why it sounds the way it does, what it's supposed to do in theory, where it should or could go, and once you're in a minor key, how to then get one for the tonic. Now in a minor key, real quick, the 2 chord is already diminished because the 2 chord of minor is already what was the 7 chord in a major. So there is a diminished chord in minor. It just goes, it resolves, to the wrong one if you want to sound like you're in minor. So we will start first of all with the 7 chord of any major key, major scale is going to be a diminished chord. What makes it diminished? It is stacked minor thirds, and it gives it that gnarly sound. Regular minor chord, diminished chord. Okay? And it just diatonically happens that way. It happens that it's a minor third and a minor third, which makes your fifth. The fifth of a regular chord ends up diminished, or flat 5, and you get that tritone. And that's what happens when you stack 2 minor thirds, is it's taking this minor chord and just making it like real gnarly, because now the fifth is really dissonant. That's a tritone. And that's what the outside, the outer edges of your diminished chord are. Now, in a major scale, major key, when you extend that diminished chord out to the 7th, you get what's called half diminished. That means that you've got a minor third for your first step of the chord, first section. Minor third is diminished, but then a major third, which gives you a diminished chord with a minor 7th. But stacked, it's minor third, major third. Okay? And you get that sound. Okay? Now, that chord, when you use it, wants to resolve up a half a step to the 1 chord. Okay? So in this case, we've been kind of noodling here. That diminished. You can hear that it sounds nice. It sounds complete. Okay. Now you could use the same rules as we did for the dominant. It would resolve nicely to 3. It will also resolve nicely to the 6th chord. Okay. Here's that down to the 6th chord. It doesn't sound bad because it has that much same genetic material as the 1 chord. Okay. Same idea as if you skip the 1 and go up to the 3. That was going from 3 down to 1 down to 6, and you can hear that there's a lot of similarity in there. Now, in a minor key, how do you get that diminished chord? Same way you get the dominant. You use harmonic. You raise the 7th, and you have that diminished there. It's just going to resolve up to a minor chord. And if you're really, really watching my hands, you'll notice that the diminished chord I'm playing is different than it was in the major key. Here's why. When you stack the thirds using harmonic minor, yes, your first 2 thirds are minor third, so you get the old, diminished. But then you extend out to the 7th, and instead of it being a major third, it's another minor third. And this chord is referred to as fully diminished because the whole thing is minor thirds. And so instead of using a minor 7, which that finger is, if you care to know that, now you gotta use a flat 7. And the chord gets a little more gnarly. And that resolved up to a minor 7 chord. And again, same rules apply. That thing can resolve up to the 3 or down to the 6 or up to the 1. Those are kind of like the general normal places to go. Now, I think I've talked about this in another video, but not to go off in the weeds too hard, a fully diminished chord, the way it's constructed, divides an octave perfectly, so you can actually resolve to any chord a half step up from any note of that chord. So that chord is kind of like the Swiss Army knife of chords, because you got 4 places you could go to if you were going to tonic. But then if you think about the whole 3 or 6 of tonic, now you've got 12 places you can resolve to technically. So it's a pretty crazy chord when you start looking at it that way, and we'll delve into that stuff later as far as like, and I think in one of the advanced videos, if you're curious, you can look up. I've talked about diminished and dominance a lot on here because it's kind of an awesome thing to talk about, and they're so versatile. But I'm trying to like talk about them at different skill levels. Hence, like this is the intermediate video. I'm trying to get you tiptoeing into the water, so to speak, and then we'll move forward. So anyhow, yeah, there you go. That's the diminished chords. I hope you have fun with them. I think they're fun to play with. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.